process the materials, and also to have micro machining. Okay, normally it is to be micro machining techniques or minute machining processes to carving. For carving, we can use this laser. So very fine circuits, to design very fine circuits or for the carving purpose, we can use this laser. So here, when you pass the laser onto a material, what happens? Since it has high intensity, this light energy can be converted to heat energy. So it produces intense heat. So because of this heat, um, production of heat, when you pass the laser beam, it can be used for different processes like cutting, welding, drilling, and for surface treatment also. And as a whole, this is said to be material processing. So in addition to micro machining and the carving, we can use it for this kind of treatment also. That is cutting, welding, drilling, and surface treatment. So you know the classical method of welding, gas welding, arc welding, different welding techniques are there. So you can use this laser for welding also and for cutting, drilling, and surface treatment. And this is the common setup for the material processing. Just have a look at this. So there is a laser source, and it is made to fall on a mirror. The laser is reflected, laser beams are reflected, and there is a shutter which allows the light laser beam to pass through. And you have a focusing lens assembly. It made to focus. That means not making that laser beam to diverge. Instead, it will converge it and pass through the window, and finally, it just fall on the sample. Okay, so you have two things, that is shielding gas jet and powder feeder. So let me explain in detail. Okay, so these things is very simple. It is just mirror is used to reflect the laser beam, and the shutter it allows the light to pass through, laser beam to pass through. So the other, if it is having some scattered beam, that is neglected, and the remaining will pass through. And you have a focusing lens assembly. You have a focused beam, and finally you have a window and fit into the sample. So what is the role of this shielding gas jet and powder feeder? So that is in the second paragraph. So the shielding gas jet, it is used to remove the molten materials, smokes, fumes, etc. It means, uh, as I said, because of high intensity, it produces heating effect. Because of the heating effect, the materials will get melted, and sometimes some residue will be there. If you use the laser to put some holes or for cutting purpose, some residues will be there. So that can be removed using this shielding gas jet. So that is at the left side. Okay. So after making the holes, if there is any residue of this molten material, that can be removed by this shielding gas jet. And another one is powder feeder. What's the use of this? So for different materials, you can have different gases. So that is in the shielding gas jet. And the powder feeder, it is used to spray the metal powder for alloying or cladding. So here it produces some heating effect, and it will be melted, and it is in the molten state. Now if you feed some other metal, into this. It will produce the alloys of the metals. So that is the use of this powder feeder. Okay, so this is the basic setup. And just explain about this cutting, welding, and drilling. So this laser is used to cut very thin metals, which would not be possible by the classical way of cutting. So for that you can use this laser cutting technique. For since the beam is very fine and it produces the heating effect, it is very easy to cut because of the heating effect produced by laser. And laser welding. So welding, it is used to weld more than one material. Two materials can be joined together, and at the joining portion, you can focus the laser and make the two materials to melt and join together. So that is the happening in the welding. So it won't affect the nearby parts of that two material. So that's one of the advantages of this laser welding, since it is very focused. And next one is laser drilling. So drilling, is to use to make holes. So this same for all these techniques, we are using the same device, but how to process that is different. So for cutting, you have to move that material where to where you have to cut. You have to move the laser on the material, and for welding over two material where the two materials are joined together. In that place, you have to spot on the laser. Then laser drilling. So drilling wherever you need to put some holes, you can use this laser, and very fine holes you can make. That is 0.22 to 0.5 micrometer. So very small holes. So even your hair is about 80 micrometer, 60 to 80 micrometer. So this laser is also used to test the quality of the material. By fixing the intensity of the laser, you can use different materials. So which material can um, behave well and which material would not. So that you can test with the help of this laser. So in medical application, here you have. So mostly it is used in the treatment of eye ophthalmology. Okay, in the ophthalmic treatment. Then in the neural surgery, there is nerves, treatment of nerves in the skull and spine. Then treatment of coagulation of lower gastrointestinal fat. Then removal of skin imperfection. So it is used by the actress mostly and models. So in order to glam their skin, have a glamour skin. Then treatment of cancer, skin tumors, fertility microsurgery, uh, then fallopian tube reconstruction. So these things involved in the fertility of human beings for the reproduction purpose. Then it is used in ear, nose, ENT, then urology, and it is used in the bloodless operation, etc. etc. A lot of applications, medical applications are there. And this is also important, this endoscopy. So someone have here, someone have had that treatment, endoscopy. So they use an optical fiber, so that is inserted into our mouth uh, to diagnose what is happening inside the intestine. Then some more applications are there, scientific and engineering applications, that is telecommunication system, satellite communication, holography, weather forecasting, computer printers. So, I think you have heard about laser printers, so that is what. Then in military application, so in some movies, I think you have heard, if they use the laser gun, the enemies, it just vaporize the enemies without even we couldn't get some ash of that enemies. Then LiDAR. LiDAR means just like radar, this radar, that is there radio waves are used. Radio waves detection and ranging, and here it is laser detection and ranging. So for navigation purpose, it is used. Then so automatically guiding rockets and satellites. Yes. So after the launch of rockets and rockets, we can automatically guide with the help of this laser beams, since it can travel to a long distance. Then chemical application. So in order to change the rate of the reaction, chemical reaction, there is acceleration of this chemical reaction. So we can use laser for that. That is because the formation of heat, because of the formation of heat, you can change the chemical reaction rate. And we can create new chemical bonds, destroy the atomic bonds. So a lot of applications are there. And finally, the biological application. We can drill minute holes without damaging the cell, and we can use it for microsurgical operations. I think you have heard about these keyhole operations. So that is they are doing with the help of this laser. So that's all about this laser.